Good morning, good evening, and good night. Welcome to Podcrushed. I am joined by my co-hosts Nava Kavlin and Sophie and Nava. Welcome. Let the folks know how you're doing.
Hello. Just doing astoundingly well.
Okay, we could have done better on that, but let's not take it again.
Okay.
I just before we were recording, and I was nearly late because I was downstairs hustling to say hello to my sweet little child as he came in the door, home from school a bit early because he was a bit sick and was tired, needed a nap. And there was a box there of books, and sitting right on top was this series called Dog Man. Has anybody ever heard of this?
No.
Yeah, you wouldn't because you're like normal adults and you don't have children this age yet. It is now. God bless the man who wrote Dog Man and all dogs, and in fact all men. But this, it seems to me like nonsense. And it's this thing where I was like,
Kind of like this.
I was like, but I'm so glad this is our banter.
I was just like, oh, it's so hard to protect them from the various, the bits of our culture that it's like, I wish it was a couple more years until he started reading that. But he saw it. He zeroed in on it. He was like, what is that?
Oh, the 4-year-old.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Not James.
Not James. We'll call him Not James.
Yeah, I
for
think
now.
that should be his name on the podcast. Not James.
But just to clarify, Penn said, God bless all dogs, all men, the author, but no bitches. Just to be.
I love that. That's funny.
Okay.
That's funny. We'll keep this all just for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's just get to our guests. We don't need
Yeah.
we don't need to draw any themes or meaning out of
Yeah,
that. I saw a book that I don't like, that I wish my child wouldn't read. Now he's going to read it, and I have to read it to him. Let's get to our guest. Our guest today is Ambyr Childers, who you may already know and love as Candace on a sweet little show we know around here by the name of You, my show, You, my old show, You. She was iconic in that role. She has also been in other, I would say equally iconic and award-winning films like The Master, the Paul Thomas Anderson masterpiece. People tend to hold up like there's Netflix's You and Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, and then there's everything else. I think that's generally, like, when you study cinema, that's,
Those
even
are
though it's a
the two.
TV show,
Bradley, Philip
this is,
Seymour
yep,
Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are the
It's
two
all
pillars.
in the same.
Yeah.
So, she's worked with the best of the best.
Yeah.
But she also was in the series Aquarius, and she was also in Donovan. Outside of film and TV, Ambyr is a fellow podcaster. She's got a show called Happily Ever Ambyr, and that has its second season, exploring everything from family to brain health to sex and spirituality. Ambyr and we had a lot to catch up on. It was a joy to have her back. You're going to like this one. We'll be right back. Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Nava, and I think we would have been your middle school besties.
Creating love triangles where there are none.
Okay, you be Richard Gere, I'll be Diane Lane. I, just in doing a little bit of the research, I was reminded how transparent and reflective you are, and how open you are. And I have a feeling that you've been doing a lot of reflecting on this period of life for yourself. And so I just give us a snapshot of Ambyr at 12. What was she doing every day? How was she seeing the world? And then, of course, because you were very much a budding performing artist, how was her relationship to the arts and stuff?
I was so awkward. And maybe people didn't perceive me as awkward, but I just felt so awkward inside. I feel like I didn't have a friend group, in the sense that I kind of hung out with a bunch of different groups. Like, we were very segregated, right? We were like, you had the jocks, you had the emos, and I was just kind of like, there Ambyr was, like, bouncing around from which was beautiful because I was friends with everybody. But there weren't a lot of artists. I was acting at that point, so people, I feel like, kind of, I don't want to say they treated me differently, but they just, we just couldn't connect in the same way as I could have. I didn't grow up with a lot of artists. There weren't a lot of actors in my middle school. And it's funny, actually, I just remember this thought just now. I think in 7th grade, I got voted most likely to be famous and most gullible.
Really?
Gullible.
That could be a bad mix.
And it's so true. I laugh now and I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, sorry. Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was really gullible.
How does that manifest now, being gullible? I feel when you said that, I'm like, I'm gullible too, but I'm wondering how it manifests for you.
Probably choosing really bad men. Being gullible is not a negative thing. You just, I want to trust everybody, but unfortunately, you can't trust everybody, and you have to develop this intuition, which now I very much have, and that like goes later into like I stopped drinking, and I think that's something that's really helped me like dial in on understanding, okay, what is my nervous system telling me? What is like, how am I feeling in this moment right now? But when I was in middle school, I was just like, I love the idea of escaping. And for me, escaping was being an actor. Like I felt so awkward in my own skin, and like, I just didn't know, like I wasn't super, super smart and I wasn't super athletic. I was somewhere like in between. But one thing that I knew that I loved more than anyone in the entire middle schools were I loved acting. I love performing. Because, you know, as we know, like you're able to step into the shoes of someone else and not be yourself. And that feels really good when you're really insecure in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, which you already are so insecure at that age. And having daughters now, it's like I want them to be so confident. And my 11-year-old is super confident, and she's an amazing dancer. And like, she will roast you, and she'll be funny. And like, where my 15-year-old is more like, I have a Scorpio and an Aquarius baby, and they're like, so their signs, and I'm a Cancer. And I'm like, my
right there in
kids,
the middle.
I literally, wait, what'd you say?
I said right there in the middle.
Yeah. So today was Riley's last day of 5th grade. And I have this thing where I always give her a kiss, and I will always give her a kiss until she starts driving. And then I'll just give her a kiss and like let her leave and go in her car. But I said, okay, look at me. And she's like, Mom, don't, please, not with the speeches. I said, I am so proud of you. You work so, Mom, please, the speeches, the lectures, I just can't. And like, I wanted to take it so personal because I just wanted to let her know how proud of her I was for like, you know, she worked hard this year, and there was a lot of girl drama, and I was just wanting to like show her how much I loved her, but she was not having it. So I was like, oh, okay. But I've arrived at that age. And yeah, it's just a weird time to be like a parent and to see like, we were prank calling people on a landline, right? Now these kids are like hosting Zoom videos and like FaceTime and playing all these games. And I'm like, I don't even know how to parent this child, like in this phase of life. You know, because
I'm not sure anybody does really. There are those of us who are learning, but oh my goodness, it's not easy.
You know, you had brought on, I don't want to take us too far off topic, but you had brought on Dr. Eliza Pressman to an episode of your show. And she gave a metaphor for parenting that I'd never thought about, even though it's really obvious, which is that the day your baby is born, you're born as a parent, at least your firstborn. So of course there's going to be a period where you're a toddler as a parent, where you're like wobbling and stuff. And imagine where like you've never gone through, like you're the first generation of parents to ever in history go through parenting kids through what they're going through right now. Like this has never happened before. So there's no like historical, there's no like epigenetical knowledge of how to do this. Like that's crazy. You guys are really pioneers in figuring out how to parent kids through this.
You know, what's about pioneers is it's grizzly. It's just grizzly out there at first. You know?
There's going to be lots of mistakes, you know, because nobody knows how to do it.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I've actually never heard that before. And it actually makes me feel so much better, because a lot of the time I'm like, I got to go take a nap. Like I need to put myself in a timeout because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now, you know? And it's true. It's really hard, but it's also great because I'm learning to reparent myself, right? There's so much of my childhood that maybe I didn't get, or I wanted, or I didn't understand. And now at this phase in my life, I'm like, oh, Ambyr, the 36-year-old Ambyr gets to reparent the 12-year-old Ambyr and give her what she needed.
Did your parents ever give you any kind of anything close to those speeches you're giving yours now? You know what I mean? Like did they demonstrate their pride in you in ways that you could feel?
So my parents are, obviously from a different generation, and it was like slap on the back, like make us proud, tough love. I grew up in a very, very tough love kind of family, and I know that has served me well in some aspects of my life, like learning to be resilient in an industry as an artist that is not always going to be in your favor, and you're going to have years where you don't work, and you're going to have years where you are on cloud nine, and that builds grit. And I think that that's what my parents definitely showed me. The other part of the nurturing, the loving part, I mean, they loved us in the best way. They knew how. And I think that's something beautiful is when you become a parent, you realize, oh my God, my parents went through so much.
Yeah.
And so there's like that whole, aspect of forgiveness and nurturing and whatnot. But my parents are like tough ranchers. Like they're in Nebraska, they're like wrestling cattle, like they're doing the whole thing. So like very different household, very different.
That's right. So did you grow? Where were you born? You were born kind of in that Midwest thing, weren't you?
So I was born in Arizona, in Cottonwood, Arizona.
Okay,
yeah.
That's right.
And then when I was 5, I moved out to a place called Murrieta, California, which is near Temecula. That's where it's like wine country.
Right. And that's when you were close-ish, where you were close-ish to LA and Hollywood, that made it feasible when you were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half drive. Now it's probably like 2.5 hours. But yeah, and I'm so grateful that my parents were super supportive of this. I'm shocked actually knowing them now. I'm like, how would you even let me, I'm shocked that you even let me say, hey, I want to be an actor. And they were like, okay, because I grew up playing golf and basketball. We were total boys. Like my dad wanted boys, he got girls, and he was like, I'm going to make these, we were tomboys, like through and through. So.
And you really were talented, right?
Wait, what?
You were really talented as an athlete. Like you were really.
Yeah. I'm super competitive. So I grew up playing basketball. I traveled, and then I played golf. Played golf like all over the country. Grew up with Ricky Fowler. Grew up with like a bunch of like really great guys that like end up doing really well in the golf space. But yeah, it was great. And then I ended up my senior year of high school, I booked a soap opera in New York. And so I graduated high school 3 months early, took all my exams, moved to New York, started my job on All My Children, flew back to get my graduation or to get my diploma.
Oh my God.
And then flew back and started working. So
wow.
I can't imagine doing those things at 17, 18. It would be so intimidating.
So intimidating. I don't know. I just wanted out so badly. I just wanted freedom. I wanted, like everything that you crave at 17. You're like, I've been under restraints from my parents. I grew up in a Mormon household. So it was like, my parents were strict. We didn't, they, and I'm grateful they were because, kids were doing a lot of not great things like in high school and middle school. So,
yeah.
You describe, I read somewhere that you found an ad at 8 years old for a talent agency in a newspaper, which to me paints you as such a go-getter. And then what you just described of like, taking all your exams early. Like, I don't even think about myself at 17. Like logistically, I would have been like, it's too complicated to figure this out. I'll wait. I just feel like there's so much ambition there. And even seeing like what you post online, like your fitness, like I feel like that ambition carries through. But I'm curious, going back to middle school, if there's other ways that you saw that ambition and like go-getter attitude come through, or was it really with theater mostly?
It was only with acting. It was weird. And I think now having a better understanding of what ADD is, it's like I didn't get bad grades. I got good grades, but I also knew that my parents said, as soon as your grades slipped, we weren't taking you to auditions. That was kind of like the exchange. And so my motivation of getting good grades was, I could go audition. And I worked really hard to make sure, because school didn't come super easy for me. I hated like sitting there and listening. I get so tired, and like, we all go to school for like the social aspect, but for me, I was like, any chance that I got to get out of school early to drive up to LA to audition, it was like there was no plan B in life for me. I think it's also a curse, and it could also be a blessing. But like once I fell in love with acting, I was like, tunnel vision. That was what I was going to do. No one was stopping me.
And then you like got to a point where you were getting a scholarship, and you also made like the all-star softball team. So it sounds to me like you were spending a lot of time playing sports too. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, sports were our life. I traveled for basketball too. So and I played, basketball and golf in high school. And I love basketball. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen my Instagram. I'm like a huge basketball fan. I don't know what it is. I love going to the Staples Center. I love watching it. It's just, and maybe because the ball is like constantly moving, and my brain is like that. I find that very stimulating.
It's true. It's very, very fast. It's very, very fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked really hard, and I love sports. Sports have taught me so much more about life than sometimes going through the experience. Like for instance, I had a Coach Ruth. He was the boys basketball coach, but he was also my English teacher. He always said, if you are on time, you're late. And if you're early, you're on time. And that philosophy has stuck with me. So like if I'm like
you were early to this Zoom.
Yeah, we can attest to that. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't, and maybe I
Penn
could like
was late.
loosen up a little bit about it, but like my daughter's 25 minutes early for school every day for two reasons. And I live like 3 minutes from her school. I think it's really important to teach her those lessons, like just to instill those lessons in her, like get there early. And two, I want her to get, I know this sounds really probably nerdy and scientific weird, but I want her to get sunlight in her eyes, like, and be outside with her friends before she sits down. And so,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's something that I learned on another podcast.
It's funny. It's funny to say. I think it might be weird and nerdy to say. I want my child to be outdoors. In 2025, I want her to see the light of day.
Vitamin D
before she has to look at a teacher or a screen.
I know, but some people might think it's so strange. But there's like these little, like, I'm also big into meditation, like nighttime meditation. And Riley sleeps with me for the last like 8 months, and some people are like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, we need each other, and we actually meditate. And I'm instilling these like,
that's awesome.
Little, like, whether I'm using an app, whether I'm putting on like Native American flute music, like we just, that's our bonding together. And I think those are healthy habits that you could teach your kids early on in life because who knows where this world is going, but like how to regulate your system.
Ambyr, I'm curious. You just were talking about sort of a meditating practice, and you mentioned growing up Mormon. It sounds like you left the church, and I'm curious, kind of, if anything from Mormonism has stayed with you, or any kind of like spiritual practice. Kind of where are you at with that right now?
That's a deep question.
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I realize.
I learned a lot of great things from the Mormon Church. I think it kept me out of trouble. A lot of values. But there's also things that I'm like, I could have lived without. I think prayer has definitely come back around during my sobriety. I kind of lost my way because I was like, why would God do this to me? Or why are all these bad things happening? It's like the typical question of like, if there was a God, none of this would be happening. So I became really spiritual in the sense of like understanding the universe, and like I would find spirituality in like the trees and the wind and Mother Nature. And then I just took it slowly, and I slowly started like praying and being like, okay, like Are you there? And like, even if I was mad, I would still pray. And like, I would still be very angry with God sometimes, but I was still doing the practice of learning, having to have a relationship with a higher power. It's worked for me. And not like, it gives me faith in something that's bigger than myself. And like, I feel like where I'm at in my life, I don't want to be in charge of my life anymore. I want to be able to like take action, right? And do the things, take steps towards the things that I want to accomplish. But I know it's not going to happen in my timing. Nothing ever has happened in my timing. Like I heard this joke recently that's like, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And it's true. Like I don't, and there's something very, it's like when you think about that, you could just like breathe, like, oh God, it's not in my hands. Okay. I'm still going to be a good person. I'm going to still like help other people when I can. It's not about me. It's not self-pity. It's just like one day at a time. And we're going to like just conquer this. And journaling, I actually started journaling, and it's amazing what comes out of here and onto paper. You're like, oh, wow. So it's been a year of reparenting, rediscovering, and understanding like how I want to live my life moving forward.
I love that. I love that also starting with nature, because we have this belief in the Baha'i faith that nature is an expression of the will of God, not like the only expression, but an expression. I don't know exactly what that means, but when I contemplate on, like when I think about that, sometimes I'll think about like, okay, so that means there's like metaphors in nature that teach us about God. Like if you think about like the diversity in nature, then that must teach us that like our creator loves diversity. So we shouldn't be like so hateful of things that are different. Like we shouldn't be so afraid of that. And, you know, obviously like so many more lessons, but I think that that's like a beautiful way to start that connection. Yeah. And I love what you were saying about like continuing the relationship even when you're angry, because every relationship has its highs and lows. So why wouldn't your relationship with God also have its highs and lows?
I want a divorce.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, you got to stick through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. And I find, I'm not joking. Like one of the things that I love to do is I go out after, when I wake up Riley for school, I go sit outside and I watch the birds and I listen to the birds and I watch, I have one particular squirrel. His name's Alvin. My kids think I'm nuts. Okay.
You can tell which one it is.
Yes. And I could tell by the way
she made him
moves.
a sweater. No.
And yeah, right. And he jumps. And like this squirrel is hysterical. Like he keeps me so entertained. But like I find beauty in that. I find God in that. And I'm like, if you go and look at a flower and like the most beautiful pink flower to me, I say, there's no way that this color in this flower happened by accident. Like there's something here. Like, and it doesn't have to be, it's a God of your understanding, right? So for me, I'm like, there's a creator that like makes mint, and the mint smells so good and is so good for you. There's lavender that you could rub in between your fingers, and when you smell it, it just does something to my nervous system that's like,
That's really moving, Amber. That made me emotional. Yeah.
thank you. Penn.
Meet JLab. Headphones and speakers as vibrant as your summer, beach days, workout sessions, or chill moments. You can find the perfect sound with JLab. JLab's colorful collection has something for every summer adventure and every moment. Think headphones and speakers in fresh summer colors with features you actually want. For beach workouts, poolside chilling, sunset jamming sessions, whatever it is. I recently got a pair. I actually got 3 pairs of the J-Buds Mini. They come in a bunch of different colors. They have like some wild colors, like mint green or sage or ocean aqua, bright pink, sleek black. They also have like flesh toned colors, all kinds of colors. And they do have what I think is called JLab's smallest fit ever. They fit on your keychain, which I have on my keychain actually, and they're smaller than a coin. They're perfect for any size ear, but particularly small ears. My ear canal actually is very, very wide and then gets very, very narrow very quickly. It's an uncommon shape. These are great. They're great for my ears. They're probably great for your ears, and they're perfect for summer pockets, you know? linen shorts, maybe. They slip right in. You can't even see them. And don't miss out on JLab's newest line, their summer speaker series. From pocket size to party size, the JLab Party Speaker Series brings powerful sound to any summer gathering in vibrant colors like lime green, cyan. Ooh, I don't get to say cyan out loud a lot. That's very exciting. Cyan and hot pink, as well as, of course, classic black. Start with the ultra-portable pop party speaker for beach picnics. Step up to Go Party for backyard barbecues. You could level up with J-Bud's Party for all-day beach sessions, and go epic with the Epic Party Speaker in classic black, delivering 100 watts of massive 360-degree sound for unforgettable summer nights. Look for the blue box at retailers everywhere or shop jlab.com and use code PODCRUSHED for 15% off your order today.
August 2025 marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed New Orleans forever. There have been many accounts of the storm's devastation and what it took to rebuild, but behind those headlines is another story, one that impacted the lives of thousands of children. Where the Schools Went is a new 5-part podcast series about what happened to the city schools after the levees broke and how it led to the most radical education experiment in American history. Hosted by Ravi Gupta, a former school principal, Where the Schools Went traces the decades of dysfunction before Katrina and how the high-stakes decisions that followed transformed the city's school system. You'll hear from the voices of the people who lived it, from veteran educators who lost their jobs to the idealists and outsiders who rushed in to the students and families who lived through it all. Whether you're a parent, an educator, or someone who cares about how communities and public systems can work together, Where the Schools Went is a story you need to hear. From The Branch, in partnership with the 74 and MeidasTouch, Where the Schools Went is out now. Find it wherever you get your podcasts and start listening today.
If your dog could talk, listen, they'd have a lot to say, but one of the top 3 might be they would be begging you for Ollie. You know, the full body tail wag, their excited, cute little hops, that big, dumb, goofy grin. That is the Ollie effect. Ollie delivers clean, fresh nutrition in 5 drool-worthy flavors, made in U.S. kitchens with highest quality human-grade ingredients. Ollie's food contains no fillers, no preservatives, no humans, just real food. Here's how it works. You fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz, really 30 seconds, and they will create a customized meal plan based on your pup's weight, activity level, and of course other health info that's relevant. And then Ollie sends out your pup's first box with 2 weeks worth of meals, a free storage container for mess-free serving, and a guide of how to gradually switch them over to this new diet, this new fantastic diet. With 5 protein-packed recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes or fresh turkey with blueberries, even the pickiest of eaters, like my husky, they cannot resist. You might be thinking, wow, my dog is eating better than I do. And for some of you, that's probably true. It probably is true when it comes to Ollie. So here's the thing. Healthier food means a happier pup, a happier dog, more energy, shinier coats, better poops. Wait, are we still talking about the dogs here? So they're more excited at mealtime. Plus, 1 to 2 months on Ollie can help dogs reach a healthy weight. And that's important to you, right? Ollie is one of a kind, just like your lovely, furry little critter. Ollie is the only fresh dog food that comes with unlimited routine health screenings, so you can get your pup on track to living their healthiest, happiest life. Dogs deserve the best, and that means fresh, healthy food. Head to ollie.com/podcrushed, tell them all about your dog, and use code PODCRUSHED to get 60% off your welcome kit when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a happiness guarantee on the first box, so if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/podcrushed and enter code PODCRUSHED to get 60% off your first box.
Do you have a first crush or first love or first heartbreak that was particularly formative for you?
I would say this guy named Lance, and he was actually Mormon. And he was my first kiss. And it was on a rooftop and it was raining.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So classic.
That
So
is
classic.
romantic.
So you were in Spider-Man.
Pretty much. Yeah. I lived that. And I think he broke my heart.
Lance.
Yeah. Yeah. Shame on Lance. I think he tried to follow me on Instagram like 7 or 8 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, of course. They always come back.
How did he break your heart?
I think that, it was a love triangle. You know how it goes. There's always like a girl that has like bigger boobs. I was super flat chested. Like I didn't have any boobs in high school and it was not nice. My parents were also really intimidating. So like, and my dad also always had like a cop haircut, even though he wasn't a cop. So people always assumed that like, my dad worked for the sheriff's department or something. And so I think it was just a little bit of like my parents intimidating boys. And my dad would be like the classic, like, what's your intention with my daughter? I'm like, dude, we're in middle school. Come on. Yeah. But we stayed really good family friends for a long time. And, it's so funny, like thinking about those emotions, like when someone breaks their heart at that age, your world is over. Like you don't want to go to school. You want to change your name. You want to change your hair color. Like you want to like just leave the country. So ultimately that's what Lance did. Lance broke my heart.
Oh.
Okay, we have one other classic question, which is, can you remember a particularly embarrassing or awkward moment from middle school or high school?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one for me. I don't know if I have one.
Not even on like any of your sports teams, or I feel like that for some reason.
I mean, I think a lot of the girls.
She was phenomenal. She wasn't having awkward moments. She got a scholarship.
I was
She was in the
embarrassed on my
All-Star
sports
team.
teams because I suck.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the girls during, especially high school, were starting to really experiment with one another. Like all the girls were like, "Oh, maybe I'm a lesbian," and I remember I was not. I very much to men. But some of my best friends were like always trying to like slip in and like just like give a hug or a kiss that was just a little too uncomfortable. And I'm like, bro, like hands off. Like, I know we play a contact sport, but there's like boundaries here. So I think that would probably be the most embarrassing thing. And
So just to be clear though, the most embarrassing thing in high school for you was that you were straight.
Yeah.
No, that is actually very relatable.
That's so funny.
I don't know. I think like, I know I had a couple like really bad face plants, like playing flag football.
Yeah.
Tripping on your face and any of those little things that like now as adults we would look back and be like, that was hysterical. We just exaggerate everything. All of the emotions in middle school and high school are like, we're just so dramatic. At least I was so dramatic. I don't know. And maybe that's why I'm an actor. I just put it all into my work.
No, I think so. Last night I was at a dinner for my husband's family, and he has some cousins who are like, one of his cousins I think she's in 8th grade, and she was just belting. She has a pretty good voice, but she was just going around the house singing super loud. Like we're all doing other things. And you could tell she was like looking to see if anyone's going to say anything to her. Like she's waiting for someone to be like, wow, you have an amazing voice. And I was like, that is so classically middle school and that age. And I was like, I'm sure I did things like that, but my body, my mind protected me from remembering them in that way. But I don't think it's just you. I think that age group is just dramatic. And
100%. For me, I wanted to be a singer before I got into acting, and I would stand on our coffee table and like have a guitar and put Shania Twain in like this massive TV that we had, like the old school, like not the flat screen, like the big ones. And I would sing and I would make everyone come I was like, there's a concert. And sometimes I would pass out tickets. And I was like, there's a concert at 5:00 tonight. And so like, I literally would just torture the fuck out of my family for hours. I'm like, no, we're doing a whole set. This is not a one song and done. This is like a whole set that we're doing. So
cute.
yeah, I was performing at a very, very young age.
So give us just a snapshot of that transition that you made. It sounds like towards the end of high school that you were about to accept the scholarship to go to school for golf, and you got this role on All My Children. Is that right?
How did you book it?
So I had booked a role when I was much younger for All My Children, and my family was like, we're not uprooting our family and moving to New York. So I just kept auditioning, and then another role came about to play Colby Chandler on All My Children. And I remember I flew back to New York to do the screen test, and for whatever reason, like I knew, like sometimes you just know, it's knowing. I was like, watch, I'm going to book this, watch. And I had already signed papers. Like I'd already accepted the scholarship to go play. And then when I booked him, my parents were like, I can't believe they said this. This is so wild to me. They were like, well, you're going to be 18 this summer. You kind of like, we'll let you make this choice yourself. And so I was like, all right, peace, I'm out. So I called the coach. I was like, listen, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I just, my heart is always been in acting. I love the game of golf, but I know I could play it until I'm 80 years old. I don't know if I'll get another opportunity like this, to experience not only like my dream, but living in a city where, there's just so much, different walks of life and culture. And like, it was more, I feel like my soul was like craving that at that point. So I respectfully and gratefully like gave my scholarship back to the university, and I graduated early. I went to all my teachers. I was like, hey guys, guess what? I booked a role, and they were all so supportive. I was like, I need to take all my finals early. And at this point, I didn't even care if I failed them. I was like, I'm done. And I passed. I graduated with a diploma, and then I came back. I walked, and I then flew back to New York and started working since. I was 17, which is wild to me.
So sports was never even, you didn't want it at all as a plan B. You were really just kind of waiting. It sounds like you were waiting until an opportunity came through with acting.
Yeah, I was. And now looking at the business and where we are, there's not much waiting, right? I mean, we've all are in the business in various forms. But now that formula doesn't necessarily work. You actually have to go out and sometimes create the work for yourself. But I'm so grateful that I had that drive, and still to this day, I love what I do. It's like the funnest job in the world. And if I always treat like every job like it's my last job and I'll never book again, because there's that possibility. And so, but knock on marble, I've had a great career, and I'm so grateful that I get to show up every day and do what I love. Then I did Dickie Roberts, former child star, with David Spade. And then All My Children came. What did I do? I did a Stephen Frears movie. I did We Are What We Are with Julie Gardner. And
how did you book The Master? That's like an incredible.
I auditioned, and it was just one of those ones where I was like, I love period pieces. That's like my favorite. I love doing period. If I could do like a period piece for the rest of my life, I would. It's just fun, right? That's the way, you set playlist and you really dive into the history of that time, and it's really transformative and beautiful, and the way you speak and the way you present yourself in the scene. For me, it's something that I've always craved. I did Aquarius with Sarah Gamble, who created
That's right, yeah.
You. That was the first project I worked with her on that, and I love the 60s. Oh my God, I played Susan Atkins, who was, a complete crazy person.
To put it mildly.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, she's like one of the most infamous acolytes of Charles Manson. That's a big role, and it was a big. I mean, I feel like, especially because it led into you. I don't know exactly the process you went through to play Candace, but it sounds like, Sarah already knew you and just wanted to bring you in for that.
Yeah, initially I had completely forgot about that audition. So wait, I wanted to go back to your question about the master. I had auditioned, and that was probably the longest, most stressful process. I had heard through the business, like, Paul takes his time, like there's like this, you just go in and be yourself. And I went in, and I remember auditioning with him on a couch, and it was my scene with Joaquin Phoenix. And it ended up being like a full frontal nudity scene, which is wild to me. And Paul's amazing. He's such a great, he wasn't intimidating. He made the audition super comfortable, and and then it was like 2 months. So every time a manager and agent would check in, they're like, casting would say like, oh, your picture's on the wall with another actor, and we're just deciding, which is like,
that's so
intense.
That's a mind fuck. Yeah.
Yes. And I'll never forget when I booked it, I was in La Quinta, just having a weekend with my kids, and they're like, you booked it. And I was sitting outside, and I was like, this is just insane. And I didn't realize at the time how important that movie was going to be for my career. And, even so, I actually ran into Rami Malek the other day, and which I haven't seen him in years. And it was the funnest job I had ever worked on. But it was also so terrifying because everyone was saying like, Paul will fire you at any time, any time, and he will recast you. It doesn't matter how many days he's into the shoot. Like, you better show up and suit up and be the best damn actor you could be. And so for me, I was like terrified of this. And there's like famous stories in Hollywood of this, but he's the nicest guy. He's like the best director. I learned so much. Like, Amy Adams was my stepmom, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, which I'm so thankful that I got the opportunity to work with him, and that's my goal as an actor, always to work with people that or surround myself with people that are better than me, because I want to learn. I would never want to feel like when I walk on set that I know what I'm doing. I want to have confidence in the preparation of the scenes and knowing where I'm going with my character. But I love learning, and learning is the best place to be, especially on set when you have all these amazing actors that have done incredible work. And I'm like, I don't feel worthy to be here. There's a little imposter syndrome, at that point.
I'm just curious what your process was like then to get onto You, which you were in with Penn, of course.
Yeah. So I remember I was actually I was doing a voiceover job. And I had kind of forgot about the audition, but didn't know 100% because I didn't have the materials with me. And I remember my agent calling me, and they're like, hey, are you going to go in and read for You? And I was like, sure. Yeah. Do you think that they have extra sides there? Oh, I miss going into rooms and auditioning. Penn, I don't know. Do you?
Well, I haven't auditioned in a very long time because I've been on this show.
Yeah, of course.
And
of
so
course.
it's
But back in the day, though.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I totally agree with you. Earlier, you said something about people who are just getting into the business now. I have no idea what kind of advice I would try to meaningfully give anybody because decades ago, you had a chance because you could go into a room and you could be there, and the people who were casting you could see you and feel you and really hear you, and it was often awful and kind of humiliating and painful. I really do hate auditioning. It's my least favorite part of the whole business, but there's also something strangely, as you bring it up, it's like I almost miss it. Almost.
Is that not a thing anymore? Like, now the process starts on Zoom. There's no more, it doesn't start in person.
You send tapes in.
You send tapes in, yeah. And that, that started during the pandemic. And I think everyone was kind of like, okay, this is only temporary. And now it's something, I mean, I do hear randomly like, oh, I went an audition, which is like a one-off. But now, and I also I hated auditioning. It was but it was awful. The adrenaline that I think now that I crave the being connected and working with some of these amazing casting directors that I've known since I was 8 years old. David Rappaport, like, he's like, I'll never forget when you came in for Gossip Girl. Like, he says he has a better memory of me than when I was that age. It's the history that you have with these people. And
there's also, sorry to cut you off, but I won't say who, but there's a particular actress right now who someone leaked her audition tape. It's very current for something that hasn't been cast yet. I don't know who leaked it, but people are being really snarky about it. And like some magazine, like USA, but it wasn't USA Today, but one of those like left like a really snarky comment, like so-and-so's traumatizing audition. And it's like, this is so rude and mean. And like, this should have been private. This should have never been leaked. And also like, you guys as a publication have no right to weigh in on this and like be snarky about it. And actually the people in the comments were like tearing the publication down, like saying like, you have no right to do this to this actress. But I was just thinking like, that's so awful that could happen. Like at least in the past, a bad audition would have stayed private and like just between the actor and the casting directors. Like that's also something that can happen now, which sucks.
Yeah, it's a different beast. Like yesterday, I threw myself on tape with me recording the other lines, which I haven't done that in a long time because I usually go into a place, at least to have someone to actually feel like it's an audition. But it was a Quentin Tarantino movie, and I was like, I wanted to get this in like right away. Like I was like, I want to be the first one in for them to see this. So the world is different. Auditioning, the process is different, but also change is really important. And I'm hoping like our business is going through a huge shift and change. And I think it's just the world and the economy. And hopefully it will like simmer down, because there's a lot of starving artists, and it's not just actors, it's everybody behind the camera that are struggling right now. And I just hope for the sake of their families and their children, and to be able to continue to do what they love, because like myself, this is all I've known, right? This is my livelihood. This is what I love to do and wake up every day. And if I don't do it, that's a part of me that dies.
Mm-hmm. So you forgot the script, and then you had to get the sides.
Oh,
yeah. So keep walking us through.
Sorry, back to that story.
Yeah.
My squirrel brain. So I went in and I saw, Sarah and David, and oh my God, this is bringing up so many memories. And I think this was like one of my audition scene. I'm trying to think of what it was, but I just felt like I walked into this character. And I think like sometimes you're really stretching your ability as an actor when you're like, I'm not really connecting to this character. I always connected to Candace. I love this, and I think it was through a lot of difficult and hard times that I went through in my 20s that I was able to channel this, Candace character and make her come alive. And I booked it.
How much did you know about the character, how she fit into the show, and what was going to happen to her at the outset?
I didn't know a lot, which I think is a blessing. I think sometimes when you go in blind and you're starting to create a character from like your own understanding, and it's nice that, you have the writers and the creators and the studios knowing where it's going to go. I just wanted to come, and I remember reading the book on the plane to New York, because I hadn't read the book yet, and they're like, try to read it. And I was like a crash course on the, on the plane ride. I think over time, because Candace, when she first came in, it was like, hearing about her, right. And hearing, but not having a good understanding of what happened to her, or believing possibly, what Joe was saying happened to her. And then in the second season, you really see like her side of the story, right? And I love that. I loved how they developed this character. And then you get completely blindsided, obviously, by the death of her.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall how different she is from Candace in the book? I don't really. I know that there's a lot of differences. I don't remember does he mention much about Candace in the book?
In the book, she stays dead, right? Like she doesn't get killed by love, so she's not the one who.
Well, that's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's amazing because Candace is part of like you has pulled off some pretty epic plot twists, but I feel like bringing back Candace and exposing Love as a murderer are two of the greatest, and you're part of both of them, which is really cool. And I'm curious, I'm particularly curious what it was like for you to film the scene where Victoria kills you. Like, what was it like to prep for it? What was it like to shoot it and sort of to keep that secret and the fan reaction, sort of that whole process for you?
It was exciting, except for I knew I wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I got to go find another job now.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they find a way. So.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you already died once.
I remember it was in the storage unit, and I'm super claustrophobic, and that storage unit was like not fun to film in. So I was able definitely to bring a lot of that energy into the scene. But Victoria is so freaking good, and like it was. I think it was like the perfect storm in a way. I remember like if I remember correctly, I'm like running around the corner, and then she like comes out and stabs me with a knife. I've never been. Well, I definitely know I personally have never been stabbed, but I don't think I've ever played a character that's ever been stabbed before. A lot of sticky blood. That I remember.
Doesn't she slice you with something she's grabbed out of the garbage?
Yeah, she like stabs me with like maybe a broken bottle or something.
Yeah, I think
right.
it is a broken bottle.
Right.
It's been so many years since I've actually seen
know.
that scene.
Yeah.
But I'm glad, Sophie, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just real talk, as they say, for a second. That's a little bit of an aged thing to say now. That dates me, doesn't it? But no, real talk. How important is your health to you? You know, on like a 1 to 10. And I don't mean in the sense of vanity. I mean in the sense of like you want your day to go well, right? You want to be less stressed. You don't want to get sick. When you have responsibilities, I know myself. I'm a householder. I have 2 children and 2 more on the way. A spouse, a pet, a job that sometimes has its demands. So I really want to feel like when I'm not getting the sleep and I'm not getting nutrition, when my eating's down, I want to know that I'm being held down some other way physically. My family holds me down emotionally, spiritually, but I need something to hold me down physically, right? And so honestly, I turned to Cymbiotika. These vitamins in these beautiful little packets. They taste delicious. And I'm telling you, even before I started doing ads for these guys, it was a product that I really, really liked and enjoyed and could see the differences with. The 3 that I use the what is it called? The liposomal vitamin C, and it tastes delicious, like really, really good. Comes out in a packet. You put it right in your mouth. Some people don't do that. I do it. I think it tastes great. I use the liposomal glutathione as well in the morning. Really good for gut health. And although I don't need it, anti-aging. And then I also use the magnesium L-threonate, which is really good for I think mood and stress. I sometimes use it in the morning, sometimes use it at night. All 3 of these things taste incredible. Honestly, you don't even need to mix it with water. And yeah, I just couldn't recommend them highly enough. If you want to try them out, go to Cymbiotika.com/podcrushed for 20% off plus free shipping. That's Cymbiotika.com/podcrushed for 20% off plus free shipping.
This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform designed to help you stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, Squarespace gives you everything you need to claim your domain, showcase your offerings with a professional website, grow your brand, and get paid, all in one place. With Squarespace's collection of cutting-edge design tools, anyone can build a bespoke online presence that perfectly fits their brand or business. The key word here is anyone. That is a big deal because it can actually be very difficult to build a website that looks good, but also is intuitively designed and makes sense for people. With Squarespace, it's super easy. So you start with Blueprint AI, Squarespace's AI-enhanced website builder, to get a fully custom website in just a few steps, using basic information about your industry, your goals, your personality, to generate premium quality content and personalized design recommendations. Squarespace makes it easy to showcase your expertise and engage clients with video content on your website, Upload and organize your videos, create stunning video libraries, and even monetize your content by adding a paywall. Perfect for online courses, exclusive tutorials, and premium workshops. Head to squarespace.com/podcrushed for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code PODCRUSHED to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. In season 2, you got to, do a lot of your scenes with James Scully, who we love. And I don't know if you knew this, but in a crazy turn of events, Nava actually was James's teacher in middle school. Isn't that crazy?
In Texas.
Yeah. So we really do love him. We've loved him at many ages. But
Was he a good student?
He was a great student. He was a total nerd, and his name was Nick back then. And he was like really into theater. He was the sweetest. He was the sweetest kid. Yeah.
I love James.
Yeah, he's the best. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask, do you have any specific memories or stories from your scenes with him?
I mean, I just remember how fun set was, right? Like when you have a good cast and you enjoy waking up and you get to go to work with your friends and play. And that's and he was so funny and he was always making us, do you remember that, Penn? He was always
Yeah.
We were always laughing about just the way his mannerisms are and the things that come out of his mouth and the whole dynamic. It's like a really cast of characters, how they cast everybody so distinctly and how it comes together as this beautiful piece of art. It's really a talent. And I actually haven't seen James in many years. But I think about him and I just smile because he has such a great smile and a great laugh.
He does.
So you obviously explores obsession and control, which has flavors of some of the things that you were going through in your private life. And I'm curious if you ever had to kind of detach mentally to protect your own mental health as you were playing that character.
I think I do it now more than probably what I did before. I think that's something that I always do because, I do tend to play really dark, demented characters in some way. And so there's a lot, you can never approach a character thinking oh, this character is a piece of shit. For me, I have to find empathy in some sort of backstory, right? In order for me to fully show up as this person. And I have to detach myself as Ambyr from this character. And I think something that I always do, that I've always worked with my acting coach, was you have to protect yourself. The energy, kind of like what we were talking about before, energy is very real. And I always, doing darker scenes or things that are really evil or even sexual things, I have to put that white light around me and protect myself so I don't go home and bring that energy into my house. So yeah, I think, I never regret anything that's happened to me in my personal life. Again, I went through a lot of my 20s and not knowing up until this point in my life where I've actually done the work, realizing, because I kind of numbed myself out and oh, it was okay, and made excuses for a lot of really bad behavior. I've lived that now. So now I get to bring that healed trauma with me to bring it into my art. And I think that's what makes artists great is we could show up and use our lived experiences, but also finding a way to not make us turn those experiences and reliving those.
Yeah.
That's a huge balance and challenge. And you have to be very mindful how you show up in your day-to-day work and how you, again, when you leave set, when you enter set. So, I mean, I know Penn probably has more interesting things to say about that kind of behavior because you've played Joe.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. But by the end, to be honest, I mean, so we were working together in seasons 1 and 2. I mean, by 4 and 5, I mean, I think I was struggling to remember to take it seriously enough to ground it. You know what I mean? I was I was not ever troubled bringing it home. I'm okay. I actually have to make this real for a second. Okay. Because Like, yeah, I mean, strangely, we actually had Lee Toland Krieger who directed the first episode, and I don't remember, was Candace in the first episode, or did she come in? I know she came in throughout later, but like she wasn't. There were no flashes in the
No.
pilot, right?
No.
Okay, so then I don't think you've met Lee, at least not on this show. We had him on Podcrushed, and one thing we were talking about was how much in the last episode we were just laughing. He and I in particular, we were just like laughing so much, and we thought like, should we be having this much fun while bringing this thing home in such an, and you know, so I don't know if you've seen the finale, but it's like it's a pretty grisly ending. It's a pretty intense, pretty like long and arduous thing, but we managed to make it very fun somehow, and I think that's important. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. That actually reminds me. I was doing a CPR charity like class yesterday, and we were like having to learn how to like give CPR and how you don't do mouth to mouth and heart attack versus cardiac arrest. And like, we were laughing through this entire thing. And I'm like, this feels so wrong to be laughing, because if this was a real life situation, like nobody would be laughing right now. But I don't know. You learned something, and you guys had a great final season that people absolutely loved. So you did something right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, I think probably who was it that came on? Was it Elizabeth Moss who was talking about this on our show? She was talking about how like you know, a show like Handmaid's Tale, she's often having a lot of fun because it's also tortured. That if I mean, I feel similarly. I've not heard a whole lot of other actors say this, but like if you're doing something really dark and twisted, you kind of have to keep everything light. Otherwise, it's just an insufferable experience, you know?
It is. I remember the movie that I did, We Are What We Are. It was about cannibalism, and we filmed it in upstate New York.
Wow.
There was a lot of jokes at that dinner table that were like keeping things real light. And it's true. So like, I could definitely attest to what you just said. It's like, you know, it's kind of like when people say you have to like really enjoy some and like find comedy in the darker parts of life. And people don't like that because they think, oh, if you go to a funeral, you have to be serious. Like, no, at my funeral, I want a fucking DJ, and I want people to be celebrating and like sharing stories. And it's going to be like a fun celebration. And it's like people handle grief very differently. But I think, you know, back to your point, find humor. Like we're playing, right? We're playing. That's what we do for a job. We go on set and we play. It's not serious.
So we were talking about play and about joy and bringing like lightness to a set that might otherwise be quite dark. And I actually had a question about motherhood for you. You became a mother quite young, like at 21. And I think people talk a lot about, or at least I see a lot in the media about like the challenges of becoming a mother young. But I'm curious if you could tell us about some of the unseen joys of becoming a mother young.
Well, I could definitely say now that I am living very much like Gilmore Girls with my sophomore, you know, like I actually just watched the show again with my 11-year-old. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons. Like when I was a young mom, I was also learning about myself. So I probably wasn't so rigid, or I don't want to say strict, but like we would have fun. Like London was like my little best friend. And like people would be like, oh, you guys are sisters. I'm like, nope, I'm a mom. This is my daughter. And like, you know, I was just so young and I was so proud. And I always knew that, well, I didn't know I always wanted to be a mom. I really wasn't thinking in that. I wasn't sure if motherhood was something that I wanted until it happened to me. And I was like, as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, nope, this is it. I'm going to be a mom. And I'm so proud. And I love babies. Like, I love babies so much. If anyone that knows me, they're like, don't have your baby around Amber. She'll like take your baby and never give your baby back. But we would dress up. we went everywhere. I took London, like she was on set with me when I was, I think when the first time she was like 2.5 months old, I did a movie in Michigan, and she was just like my little buddy. And it's challenging, right? Like, because you really don't know what you're doing. But really, do you know what you're doing even now? If I had another baby at 36, no, because the world's changed. If you see all the like parenting books and like all the things that I have around my house, like people would probably laugh at me, but knowledge is power. And I think like having an open mind about where you are, as long as you're growing, right? As long as you're growing as a human and evolving and becoming a better version of yourself, and even if that is 1%, then that's a win. And motherhood, very like being a young mom, I had Riley when I was 25. I just knew that I wanted to give London a sibling for me, like probably should I had another baby? I don't know. I don't know exactly in that moment where my head was, but I definitely knew that there's power in sisterhood, and I grew up with 2 sisters, and I wanted that. So it was something that was just about having London be able to have, a sibling, God forbid I was not here one day, that she could walk through life with. So
Sweet.
It's really sweet.
Well, I think that actually dovetails nicely with our final classic question. If you could go back to 12-year-old Ambyr, what would you say or do, if anything?
it's funny that emotions. Pause for a second. I would definitely tell her I love her, because I think at that age, it's really hard, and we're so critical of ourselves at that age. Like, we find any way. And now looking back, I wish I would have paused. I wish I would have looked myself in the eyes in the mirror, which, by the way, like, if you've ever done that, it's so vulnerable to do as an adult. And just said, like, I'm so proud of you, and like, never, ever give up, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because you are just perfect the way you are. Because I felt so lost inside. So I think that's what I would say. Not to be all mushy and weird.
No.
See, that's supposed to that. We asked you to go there.
That was my kids in my head going, Mom, God, you're so
that was your inner and
That was
current
Riley.
12-year-old.
Yeah. It's funny. My kids they're brutal, man. They're brutal.
Ambyr, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on. It was
really.
so wonderful to have you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
you.
me.
You can listen to Happily Ever Ambyr wherever you listen to your podcast, and you can follow Ambyr with a Y online at Ambyr Childers _official.
Podcrushed is hosted by Penn, Nava Kaplan, and Sophie Ansari. Our senior producer is David Ansari, and our editing is done by Clips Agency. Special thanks to the folks at Lemonada. And as always, you can listen to Podcrushed ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. Okay, that's all. Bye.